Hey, Writerly Besties, and welcome back to the Writing with Anna new podcast, where you guessed it, we talk about all things writing. In today's episode, I am so excited because, guys, we're going to be talking about how to write your short story. Okay, first off, I love short stories. I love to not only write them, but also read them. I think they're just such a refreshing sort of taster to writing and reading in general, and I honestly just think short stories are so important to your writing skills and developing the way that you write. In today's episode, I just want to kind of go through why writing short stories is a good thing and also the sort of processes involved with writing your short story, things you should do before you write your short story, how you should plan it, if there even is any planning at all, and of course, just things to keep in mind when you are going through your short story. I do want to mention that I actually uploaded a video over on my YouTube channel. Definitely go check it out. But I recently was able to submit one of my short stories into a competition, which is like a Australian Young Writers Award for like 18 to 25-year-olds. And since I am 18 right now, I was able to submit. But I literally didn't even know that, submissions were due until like a couple weeks ago. So I literally had a vlog on my channel where I wrote a short story in only 3 days, and I did it, and it actually was really cool. And of course, I hope to kind of maybe get an award, but I'm definitely not expecting it. I just wanted to kind of have the little sort of booster of me, like, yeah, I submitted a short story, woo woo. Anyways, with that out of the way, I think that's, just a good reminder that, short stories are a great thing to enter into competitions, to get your writing out there, but also just to practice the whole idea of like kind of having a deadline, like getting people to read your work, edit your work, and just like, the whole process, but just on a very small sort of scale. But first off, to start off this little episode, we're going to be talking about, why short stories matter and why you should be writing them. I think, as I kind of said maybe at the start of this episode, that, writing short stories is such a big refresher. If you are coming from, really big manuscripts that you've been working on tirelessly and you're just a little bit not bored, but just kind of burnt out from them, short stories will cure your writing sort of block. And trust me on this, writing short stories is so refreshing. It's literally taking a nice gulp of fresh air. So firstly, I want to say like why short stories are good, and that is because they're easy. Like it's kind of hard to explain. I think a few little things I kind of want to say about writing short stories is, yeah, that it's easy, but that's for a few reasons, and that can include if you are a pantser like me. I think short stories are easier for me to write because when it comes to actually writing books, my big projects, I can write the first chapter so easy. Like it comes right out of my brain. It's, just like bread and butter. It just happens and it's perfect. And that's something that is a good thing when it comes to short stories, but a bad thing when it comes to, longer manuscripts because, when you kind of get into the reason I can't write books or finish them is because, halfway I get burnt out, I get confused about the plot, and yeah, I just pantser until I burn out. Anyways, so if you are a pantser, essentially, it's a good thing that you want to write a short story because it's kind of natural for you. The second thing is, you know, you don't have to plot anything. I think having just one certain theme, one sort of like string of an idea is enough to spark any short story. And technically, if you are writing, a manuscript at the moment, you can try to shrink that idea down to a very surface level, or even just like low-key submit your first chapter or like tweak your first chapter to kind of fit the structure of a short story. But seriously, you don't need a huge idea for a short story. And that's why I think it's easy and very good for you when you are going about writing your first, short story. Another thing that I want to kind of quickly mention is that it is very open-ended. When you are finishing your short story, it is interpretable. It doesn't have to be perfect. There doesn't have to be a full circle like an actual book. There doesn't have to be, a resolution, it can end at the climax or even end at the beginning of that climax. And I just think there's so much freedom in that. And I guess that's the reason why, if I kind of segue this into why short stories matter, is because it is so powerful and impactful, and whatever theme that you have can get across in a short story so well, to the point where like your audience, your readers are left with such a powerful story, but within that really short bundle of emotion and like action, there is an underlying message, which I just think is so beautiful and it matters so, so much. And yeah, that's why I think short stories are really, really cool. However, you probably came to this episode, for the actual how to write, a short story. So we're going to get into that right now. So, first step to writing a short story is, of course, your idea. But I kind of want to split this sort of first step into two main points, and that is character and incident. There has to be literally as soon as you start your short story. I mean, this is kind of like it could be, could not, but I really recommend to start with an incident, something that happens either at like the start of your story and your character needs to go through, resolve it, or it kind of starts with something about the character and then the character encounters this incident. So the only really thing you need to do in regards to planning is plan the incident, what will happen, and also plan the character. Of course, before this, you'll be needing, the idea of the actual message you want to talk about. And I think I've said this in a few of my episodes, but of course, having a meaning, a message, a motif to your story will help you so much. So as soon as you have that motif, of course, you're going to be going into this first step, which is planning your idea, which is your character and your incident. I think definitely recommend, starting with one character, maybe a few other characters in your book, but usually for short stories, stick to one character. You can be in their head, you can really explain, the surroundings. It all has to really center around one sort of point of view because you don't have a lot of words to work with, and it just kind of takes away from the actual meaning of the story and the development of the main character. Of course, when I say that, I don't mean that your character needs to actually, change, but it's more so, focusing on one certain character. And I would also probably recommend just like keep to that character. But yeah, so character, incident, have that sort of in your mind. And that's really all you have to do with plotting. For example, I might think of this as if I give an example about writing a short story. Let's say there's this character, I'm literally making this up at the spot, who who was born without wings. Maybe no, she was born with one wing, so she can't fly. I don't know where this is going, but just trust me. And the incident is that she gets pushed off a building and doesn't know what to do. Maybe in this world, everyone has wings, but she was born disabled with only one wing. And yeah, something happens from that. Anyways, it's kind of like really hard. Of course, if you have an idea to start and begin with, it will be a lot easier. But for me, that was just a random story that I came up with just there on the spot. And all I had to do was thinking about, the character, something about the character, and then of course the incident. What happens to the character? And that literally is a short story. Just saying. Okay, second step is themes and your writing style. What I want to kind of come across with this step is to really think about what vibe, literally just think about what vibe you're getting from your book. For example, if you maybe have like an ongoing metaphor, like a running metaphor throughout your story, focus on that in regards to your writing style. So if I take that example I just came up with about the girl with one wing, maybe I use words that kind of reflect the sky or flying or the ability to be free, for example, and maybe she's being trapped. So I can either go about your writing sort of in a way that kind of is very lofty, very free, or I can go the other way and maybe write very like blocky and very use words such as like, I don't know, trapped, feeling restricted, feeling uneasy, uncomfortable. Those sorts of, that sort of vibe. I hope you guys get what I mean, but kind of having an ongoing theme within your story will impact your message and also impact your readers so much more and allow your story to actually flow. And this is a huge tip I want to give because it seriously is so important, because having a metaphor, you don't have to have a metaphor, but having some sort of vibe, some sort of feeling within your book is important. So of course with that, example I came up with, I guess the idea of being trapped, unable to get away, so the opposite of freedom, for example. Okay, so by kind of keeping that in mind in regards to this second step, yeah, just think about the themes you want to uncover, but of course your writing style you want to kind of reveal through that. The third little step that I have for you guys today is, once you have your plan, once you kind of have your running metaphor, your running vibe, just the sort of, thing you want to go for in your short story, is of course starting with momentum. I think the biggest thing with writing short story is to literally just start. I feel like a lot of people get very conflicted and like what's the word? I'm so bad at this. I'm like literally a writer and I can't think of words on the spot. Resistant? Is that the word? I don't know. But yeah, you feel very resistant to start your book because you're like, oh, what if I don't want to start it that way? Or like, oh, maybe I should start, with a sizzling sentence. But like, no. Just start and you can fix that up later. Most times out of like, the times you actually do it is you actually fall in love with the way you started. I find that a lot with my stories. I'm like, what, I'll probably change this later, but I come back to it and I'm like, I can't see this any way else. Like, this is amazing. And having just faith in your pantsing and free writing is so important because, of course, short stories have no really plan. It really just has a character, an incident, and, a meaning, something that happens in the book. And just starting is something I just like really encourage you guys to do because, at the end of the day, it's just a little short story. And, as soon as you get to the end of those 2,000 words, 2,500 words, you're going to realize that you have an amazing story and you literally don't even think about like, damn, I just wrote that. And I feel like short stories, people do plan them sometimes, but I think the best stories come through unplanned and just letting your story, your character, that incident that happens really flow through your words. And that's something that I really encourage you guys to just try out. Because free writing to me comes very naturally. If maybe for you, plotting is better. If you want to kind of say the character does this, then this happens, then this is revealed, blah, blah, blah. Definitely do. But always, of course, have something in mind of what happens in your story, what you want to explore, and just let your writing take over. And I feel like this is something a lot of writers have but don't use enough. And that's just like this weird sort of initiative. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. It's kind of like your writing intuition where you just think like, okay, like this is right. This is what I'm meant to be writing. This is my story. And just having trust in your writing intuition, I'm going to call now, is just kind of having faith in your idea where it's going to go. And of course, if it doesn't work out as it does on paper, you can try again, try with another idea, take a step back, maybe let other writers read it, your friends read it, see what they think. And yeah, definitely just go for it. I think writing your idea is just such a good exercise. Of course, even if you don't want to write, an actual story for an actual competition, it's totally fine. Just relax. So I hope these sort of tips help, things to keep in mind. Just these steps really helped you. And of course, I really wish you luck with your writing. I bet you're going to be doing amazing. So please go ahead, follow me on Spotify. Spotify. I'm thinking about my story. No, just yeah, try to follow me on Spotify if you do like these episodes. And of course, I really hope to see you in my next one. Please keep writing, keep having faith in your work, and of course, make sure you take breaks. Take breaks because you deserve it. I hope this helped, and yeah, I hope to see you in my next writing episode. Bye, guys.